Hello and welcome to a Pint of Cthulhu. Myself, Matt, my co-host Jay. Today we are interviewing the absolutely amazing Marco for City of Sirens, a 5e urban adventure in the Eldritch Fallout.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
It's nice of you to join us. I mean, obviously, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have someone who is a creator on the show to give an insight into what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what they plan to achieve. Jay, would you like to ask the very first icebreaker question that we always ask?
If there was a drink called a pint of Cthulhu, what do you think it would be?
Sorry, could you repeat it? My bad. English is not my first language, so you have to be patient.
That's all good. So, if there was a drink called a pint of Cthulhu that you'd order at a bar, what do you think it would be?
Okay, this is my personal taste. It will have jello in it, the lime jello, and I'll add lime, extra lime for extra tanginess and tart, and vodka. So that is my pitch for a pint of Cthulhu. And a pint of it will make people completely drunk in 2 seconds. Very Eldritch in many ways.
Just a bit, and you know what? That's probably one of the nicest ones we've had so far.
A giant lime jello shot sounds so good, actually.
I mean,
That's
it also
right.
sounds like it'll make you probably make you sick in a few seconds, but
Yeah, you will have visions afterwards. Ooh, absinthe will work very well. It will be
Ooh.
very on theme.
plus
Yeah.
vodka, plus absinthe.
Just for fun, what do you think your you have a couple of projects. Let's go with City of Sirens. What do you think that would be as a drink?
Ooh, good question. So there's a lot of purple there. So I guess it will... Okay. It will be a refined drink, but a bit decadent, with something that makes the drink purple. Maybe some maraschino's cherries, I guess. So it will...
Blue grenadine and what's the red one?
Well, regular grenadine is red.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe that and blue curacao. Or you could do the glittery mica powders you can get that turn drinks purple.
I like that. And served in a very fancy but half broken glass. I think that
Nice.
Fancy but half
make it very
broken.
cool. Just like the city, right? Like City of Sirens is this enormous city that is way past its prime. The empire is literally going away because radiation is killing the city, and this weird entity is helping the radiation and the fog to destroy and decay everything. So whatever remains is the ruins of what it could have been, right? So that is the perfect
Oh.
drink.
What if the drink would be, you saying like radiation ruining, you know the old uranium glass? They used to make?
Ooh. That will
Serve
be
it in,
lovely.
serve one of those.
I think it will be perfect. Almost deadly, but perfect.
So, can you tell us a bit about yourself, Marco? Where do you come from? How long have you been doing this kind of thing for? What got you into it?
Sure. So, I was born and raised in Italy, and for the last 12 years I've been living between Italy and Canada. I started D&D when I was a kid. I was probably 11, and my first experience was with D&D 2nd edition, Dark Sun. That was such an incredible setting, by the way. Highly suggested. It's one of those settings that, I don't know, marked my imaginary more than a way, and it was kind of contemporary to Fallout. Really worth looking into because it has a lot of very interesting questions about once again, the post-apocalypse, what happens, and power, and dragons are treated in a way that I've never seen in any other expansion. So that really brought me into the world of D&D, and I never stopped playing. I moved to Canada to pursue my PhD. So my legendary group of D&D players kept playing without me. They're still playing, but I also had the luck of finding other D&D players and kept playing even today. Although it's much more about playtesting now than just like the pleasure of, you know, having your team and like your party and go on adventures. Of course, this is my passion job. My day job is to create educational material. So I work in university for 10 years. And then I decided to look into other careers, especially careers that could mix game design and education. And that's what I do right now. So I lead groups that create educational games. We're working on a new card game that is so much fun. Of course, not as fun as City of Sirens, but like it's pretty good.
So, what made you decide to create your own campaign, and why did you choose 5e?
That's a very good question. So, I started creating my own campaigns when I was a kid, and my friends had to endure that. And as a matter of fact, you know, like when BioShock came out, when was it, like 2006? I created a BioShock-like campaign. But of course I wasn't, you know, like skilled as I would have become over time. So my friends had to endure playing this campaign in a D&D setting. It was fun. But of course, City of Sirens, that's a much more, it's much more balanced than that initial thing. But it was in my mind since forever. I also created my, you know, like homebrewing was my passion. Because I really like the setting in itself of D&D, but I love Tolkien. I love high fantasy, but sometimes it feels a bit limiting for me. And my imagination was never about creating stories in the classic high fantasy setting. I love science fiction as well, so like it was difficult for me to say I just want to create things that stays within the parameters of classic D&D, which, by the way, classic D&D has a lot of sci-fi too because of the Vance influence, right? Like the Dying Earth was like sci-fantasy, so in itself D&D was originally like an almost sci-fantasy setting. But going back to, like, you know, the first adventures, it was when I was a kid, but when I started to do it professionally was when my colleague and partner in crime with all these D&D adventures and comics, Caterina Capogrossi, who says hi, by the way. We were creating a graphic novel, and we were using Kickstarter in order to get the graphic novel funded. But the graphic novel is a very expensive endeavor. Like, each page is hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Righteously so. There's so many people working on it. But Caterina was, of course, helping in any way she could. But at some point, we were like, well, this is not, like, we need more money to get the graphic novel going. And we were both D&D players. And we had a lot of assets from the graphic novel. And we said, why don't we try to launch something during Zine Quest in the same setting, using old assets, and let's see if we can make some extra money to help with the graphic novel. And lo and behold, the adventure made more money than the graphic novel. So we started saying, well, I guess that this is like probably a good way for us to have fun, because we had a lot of fun creating the adventure, and bring forward both the graphic novel and the setting and the world building. And we have been doing that ever since.
Nice.
So, can you tell us a little bit about City of Sirens, the general overview? I mean, does it have a campaign to it? I'm guessing it might do, from what I've read here. And how much does it take from your previous, like, successful Kickstarters? I'm just looking through them now. Every one of them has been a success.
Thank you. So City of Sirens, just like any other thing that we develop, is a standalone that works together with the setting as well. Which means that a person can easily take the main manual. We got 3 manuals, by the way, for City of Sirens. But one can take the setting manual and just run the adventure. It's a level 1 to 7 adventure, perfectly made for like DMs to just run it through it without any extra help. Everything is encapsulated in the core book. But what we tried to do as well, so the core book for a DM that just wants to run the adventure is perfect. Then we have like a player's handbook with new classes and species and so on and so forth, and a lore book for those who like to add more, lore and environmental storytelling to it, which is, to me, one of the most important things. We think about Fallout, we think about BioShock. They're great games, but what really, in my opinion, makes them incredible is the stories that you can find, like recordings and letters and all the and characters that have no say in the main quest, but they're whimsical or just like enjoyable or like just give you an incredible experience that isolates completely from the main quest. I think those are the strong assets of BioShock and Fallout, and we wanted to bring that in. So we also have a lore book to help with that. But going back to the campaign, my idea since forever was that I wanted to build a city. Literally a city where people can just do whatever they want. There's like a million things to do. There's a main quest, but then there's so many things happening that potentially a party can stay there forever. And I know that D&D has done it and other people have done it before. So what we focused on and what I managed to really bring into the game is, once again, going back to Fallout, an idea of modding the city. So you have the main campaign, there's a giant siren that wants to destroy everything, and you have like 3 factions you can side with, or you can do your own thing. But also, you can mod the hell out of the city. You can change the level of criminality, you can put like specific landmarks, you can add quests related to your species or related to your classes and subclasses. I really wanted to make sure that the city felt very much alive, despite being falling apart, of course.
Nice. I have noticed something that you've included in this project that I don't see often. It says here you've got 2 hours of soundtrack and voiceovers as part of the campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course. One of the things I like the most about BioShock was when you find these recordings, right? Like, BioShock, unfortunately, is a dead city. You go around and there's mostly monsters, especially the first one. There's very few people with whom you interact for real. Very few survivors. So what tells you about the city is the recordings of the people who interacted with the main characters. And that gives you an idea of what is happening. So I was like, this could not work without recordings. So we are recording a series of, like, basically every single part that is spoken is recorded by professional actors, and the same goes for read out loud versions, because we were also thinking maybe, as a DM myself, I was like, it will be nice sometimes to have an external voice to help me with the narration, especially if I can choose perhaps between, I can have the voice only to go with my own soundtrack, but I can also add a voice with a soundtrack for extra immersion, right? So this way I can focus on the characters I like and I can do the voices I like, but some characters I might be not great for that kind of character and voice, and I can have a professional actor doing it for me.
So, with those, will they be copyright free for, people like us, for example, to do actual plays?
I mean, we pay the artist and the copyright, and of course, once you purchase the package, you will be able to use it in your everyday DM. I don't know if we're talking about broadcasting rights, but like, I'm happy to talk with anyone. I mean, we are a small indie organization. We're a small indie company, so of course we'll be happy if people just like uses them for their online campaign and like shows the potential of what we're creating. So I don't think it's embedded in itself, but because frankly I never actually thought about it. So I'm actually glad that we are having this conversation. But I don't see why it will be a bad thing to have players or streamers online using it. It's something that we just need to figure out, but I'm very open to it. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
nice.
yeah, 2 hours of soundtrack that's going to be specifically dedicated for the setting. That would be such a useful resource for actual plays.
I'm so glad you think so. I was really happy with this idea, and I'm glad we're running with it. And like very soon we'll be able to show the page, and the page will have a preview of what expect the backers. And I hope it will convince a lot of people because I'm very happy with the work that we've been doing.
Okay. There's no point really asking what kind of books, games inspired you, considering you've already mentioned most of them. What made you specifically, though, choose that kind of setting, though? I mean, obviously, yes, you like the games and whatnot, but why, over all the other potential ideas, a dying city or a dead city?
So, like, I think that it's very important for me to state that I'm also a huge fan of Lovecraft, right? And one of my favorite things done in the Fallout universe was Far Harbor. I know Fallout 1 and 2 are amazing, and I know New Vegas is my favorite, and that's why we got the different factions vying for power. But the setting in itself, together with Bioshock, has a lot to do with Far Harbor. And for all those who love Far Harbor, like that was the perfect encapsulation of like Lovecraftian dread and Fallout post-apocalyptic shenanigans. And I will not deny it, it was an important part of our inspirations. For example, there's a thing called the Pale in the game, and it has a mechanic and everything else, and it's like this radioactive fog, right? And I still remember a few years ago now, oh my god, time flies, when Far Harbor came out and I was playing it, one of my favorite things beside the main quest was to get into the fog where the monsters are the strongest and the most vicious, right? All those incredible monsters, they were etched in my mind, and the idea of just like wandering to the foggy parts of the island were really something that remained with me, and I want to recreate it here. So if we get to 50,000 euros as a stretch goal, I am planning to create a nightmare mode of the entire city where you go back to the city and it's like level 10 to 17 or like 11 to 17. And it's a mess. Everything is in thick fog. The monsters are extremely hard to beat. And I want to recreate that kind of feeling that I had while playing Fallout Far Harbor. Deep, thick fog, monsters everywhere, and radioactive craziness, I guess.
Nice.
The ultimate TPK area, then.
Oh,
That's right. I really want people to be worried because I know I wanted to go back to one of the questions you had maybe before about like why D&D, and together with the fact that I'm acquainted with D&D, I grew up with D&D, so there's a personal perspective there. I love a lot of other games I played. You know, Mark Borg. I absolutely love Mark Borg. It's so easy to play, and I love the fact that you can just like you need to have 3 or 4 characters ready because your character is gonna die anytime. But D&D has a lot of versatility, and I always find interesting when people tries to push for content that is outside of D&D's safe containment. So I love once again, I love high fantasy content in D&D, but like whenever I see content done that goes beyond that, it makes me very happy, right? Like look at what like Neon Odyssey, what like Legend of Adventures has just done, and I'm like, I looked at it today and I was like, this is incredible. Sci-fi for 5e, absolutely, I love that.
Yeah, I love it when they kind of push, because D&D is made for fantasy, but it's gotten so popular that I think people have found a way to sort of squish it into any genre. I've seen great body horror D&D stuff. I've seen,
Yes.
Like tragedies and romances and, of course, sci-fi and fantasy. I've seen westerns as well, but I might have a bit less of a liking for those ones just myself.
Absolutely. And of course, I also want to give ample space to the heroes that create new systems, okay? Because like it's important. I don't want to flatten everything into D&D only. But yeah, just like you, I also have a lot of fun when people take that system and says, you know what? No elves, no forest. Let's go into space, or let's go into like Fallout and Bioshock to have some fun.
Nice. So, how did you sort of balance the theming? Because this game is partially, partially fantasy, partially sci-fi a little bit, and it's inspired a little bit by Eldritch horror, but it doesn't seem to have a very horror tone, at least from what I'm seeing. It might just be because the art's real cute. I might be getting sucked in by the cartoon fish. But how did you balance the tone of the game?
So the cute horror is like our trademark in many ways. So even if you go into Tome of Bags, which was our previous large campaign, we like to mix horror with something a little bit cuter, just because it's part of our setting, really. Like Big Empty Blue is this world where there's a lot of beauty and a lot of cuteness, but also a lot of eldritch horror and a lot of destruction. Its complexity is what really drives us, right? So we really wanted to create something that was unique as well. So I think that it's important to state that despite the fact that we are heavily influenced by Fallout and Bioshock, we wanted to create something completely new. We didn't want to create a look-alike or like, oh, we have Bioshock at home kind of situation, right? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's a very lucrative business too. So if you want to create something that kind of looks like something else, clearly there's a market for it. But it was not what we wanted. We wanted to create something that was extremely unique, that blended all these things together. And one of the ways we thought would have been best to make it very unique, it was to stick to our graphic design and to make it cute, to make it like vibrant and horrific at the same time. And you know, like it worked in other things as well. Like think about a Made in Abyss. It's so cute, and then at the same time, it's absolutely terrifying. So we love that style, and we want to keep doing this mix of dread and cuteness.
So we've talked a little bit about the world and the setting. How about some of the inhabitants? For example, I've noticed there's a very, very different class from what I think I've ever seen in D&D, the technologist.
Yeah. So, like, thank you for bringing that up, because, like, right now, I don't know why, there's a moment in which technology-driven classes are exploding. So, like, there's other creators who are bringing out some a technologically driven class, right? And it makes sense because the Artificer, which was like the official D&D class, like the official tech-forward D&D class, is not in the system reference document, so people cannot use it, right? You can play it, you can do your own homebrew for free, but you cannot use it in any shape and form in commercial homebrew, right? So I'm sure that everyone in the creator universe were like, well, I love this class and I wish I had mine. Maybe we can make it better. And so I've seen a lot of great experiments with that. I think the technologist, what I found interesting is that, once again, it builds on the wacky science behind both Bioshock and Fallout. So it's science with an asterisk, right? So it's not incredibly, it's this kind of science that you will find in these video games. It's like crazy sci-fi like science and lots of mutations. That is one of the main characters of this class. So you don't have infusions, you're not a spellcaster. You create your own core prototype. It's like the invention of your lifetime, basically, right? And that core prototype kind of takes you all the way through from level 1 to level 20. But then you make a lot of mistakes, right? Like, so you have your prototype upgrade, but while you do your own research, you also make a lot of mistakes that give you a lot of pluses and minuses at the same time. So there's an extra ability that is a core of this class. It's called Price of Progress. Once again, like Fallout and Bioshock are all about the price of progress, right? Fallout for nuclear war, the potential of nuclear energy and the disruption of nuclear energy unbound. And Bioshock is the potential of genetic engineering and the disruption of unbound genetic engineering. So we encapsulated both of them into this, where basically you are some kind of like mad scientist in a way, and you're doing your own research, and you're having a lot of problems with that, but you grow. So you have you can have extra tentacles, you can become half a robot because parts of your limbs are gone. Or you can do like many other things as well. You can have like more eyes, you can become a crab potentially, because crab is the perfect form. Everybody knows, science knows. It's not true, but like there's a thing called carcinization. It's been debated now, but like I really wanted to play with it because I thought it was the most eldritch and pseudo-scientific, quote unquote, for now, I guess with asterisk, thing I could think of, right? Like everybody's becoming crabs now, so let's play and let's make so that you can become a crab if you want to. Through science, asterisk.
Yeah, carcinization, the ideal body form.
Yeah, that's right. That's our future. I already feel like I'm turning into a crab right now.
Crab braid for the win.
Oh, yes. So, what was the very best part of making the game for you?
Oh, I think it's still happening. So I'm still on a high for creating this entire thing. I think the best part for me, there are two things. I really like when the high concept comes down to the mechanics. That is like such a beautiful feeling. It's like you're creating a machine and the machine works. I think it's a very special feeling that I guess game designers have, like in every shape and form, or even like game masters. When you create the plot and the plot works, it just feels so right. So in terms of creation, in this case, when the city comes to life through adventures, mechanics, NPCs, and you play test it and you see, oh, this is working, this can be calibrated a little bit better, but it really feels great. And another thing that I absolutely love is to work with others to make that happen. So working with artists to me is one of the most fulfilling moments. When I have an idea, I create a brief, and then the artist brings it to life, and it's always better than I imagined because they bring their own input, right? It's not just something that I just write down, and they have their own opinion and they have their own vision on the character. And once their vision and opinion comes into life, it's freaking amazing. So, for example, there's this very important NPC. There's 3 factions, right, in the game. So the Siren itself, you can literally side with the enemy if you want to. Like, that's once again New Vegas in many ways. And then you have the Heap Anarch Corporation, which is basically a group of pirates, And then you have the Empire, who wants to kind of keep things within the orbit of this very regimented, very regulated empire, while not being directly involved. Like, once again, lots of politics in-game international politics related there. But the leader of the empire there is called Master Izan. And, he is supposed to be threatening, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting him to be so threatening until I saw the rendition of the artist. Right? So the artist really took the bio, the lore, and really made it into this character that looks at you in the eye and you know that it's going to mess you up. Not because he's super strong, quite the opposite. But you know that if you mess up with this guy, you're over. It's over. The quiet power is right there in the image. Happy to share it afterwards. It's going to be like a preview.
Oh, we do like a sneaky peek after all. Something I must commend you guys on, again, it's on your channel already, or page already, saying real art, no AI. Again, too many people these days are relying on AI, and to hear you guys are actually, again, just using proper artists, hats off to you, because at the end of the day, real art is by far better.
I agree, and we're here for the humans. Like, that we grew up playing, and also the concept itself of role playing is collective narrative made by humans, right? Like, you sit down with your friends and you collaborate as humans in creating the story. So there's if someone wants to create AI and just have fun, I understand, but there's no place for, in my opinion, there's no place for that in roleplay. Role-playing is a human activity that takes human brains and is the most detached from the virtual world. What? I love video games. I play video games all the time. But there's something special about sitting with your friends and playing live or online. And it's a human activity, and I want to keep it human the entire time. So we never use the AI. We will never use the AI. It doesn't matter what happens to our work. It doesn't matter what happens to our studios. I don't see us using AI ever.
Honourable, very honourable. And with that, what kind of challenges have you faced during development of, any of your games or projects so far?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, I think for a small indie studios like us, made mostly of people who have a passion for RPGs, but limited time due to life, work, and everything else, and also budgeting. It's not easy to stay up to the level that we want and make the level and the budget come together, right? Because creating a manual is an expensive endeavor. It takes time, it takes money, it takes passion. So, and what we want is it's completely out of whack. We want to create stuff that is visually as appealing as it could be for large Kickstarters of people with millions of followers on Instagram and so on and so forth. We understand we cannot compare, but the idea is let's make something to be extremely proud of, and let's bring the best of what we can do, and let's make it look like it's the best possible product we could ever create. But that, of course, in terms of budgeting, it's always complicated because reality hits, right? And that's why it's so important for us to use Kickstarter, because objectively, Kickstarter is what the backers are the real engine here. They help us with having the right budget to create what we want at the highest of what we can afford. So it's always complicated in that sense. But I'm also very thankful to the community that always gave us a lot of help to make the best product that we can imagine.
Nice. So, speaking of the best product that can be imagined and also of the backer support, can you tell us a little bit about the stretch goals? I see those dice and I definitely want them, but what else have you got in store?
For sure. So the dice are there, and like I'm so happy. This is the first time we do dice, so it was like a learning process for me as well. Getting the prototypes was a very important thing, and it was its own adventure. And understanding also the pricing and everything else. Really, like there's a lot of logistics there, but I'm very happy with what we're making. We have a set of metal dice for technologists and a set of resin dice that is supposed to represent change radiation, which is this like energy that we have in our setting, which is basically like a mix between the radiation, how it works in Fallout, and literally wild magic. Just imagine if you can harness wild magic into energy, this is what you will get. And so, talking about, like, I have a few, I can take a look at what we have in store. Maybe we can talk about potential stretch goals, because like it's all a mystery for now, but I'm happy to give you some previews.
Got the exclusive
Yes, exactly. So I don't think that a Fallout-inspired setting will be truly Fallout-like if there's no power armor. So one of the stretch goals that I can already confirm is that there will be a technology subclass called Power Armored, where you can make your own power armor. It will probably not look as fancy as the ones in Fallout. It will be more sketchy like the ones that you see in Fallout 4 Far Arbor. But yes, in this setting, you can, like, if we are lucky enough to have enough funding, you will be able to don a power armor.
Nice. I'm picturing power armor meets the, like, I'm gonna get this wrong, but the Big Daddies, are they called from?
That's right. Oh, so that is not even like a part of the stretch goals. That's already embedded in the player's handbook. Ooh. You can play the Warden, so not the Big Daddy, but you can play a technologist subclass that is based on that, and the mechanics are a lot of fun. They have a lot of relational situation in which basically you become the warden of someone temporarily and you get bonuses. And also the graphic design is a tribute to, like that kind of aesthetics that became very famous with BioShock. Another thing that, speaking of BioShock, another stretch goal will be a new sorcerer subclass that is about splicing. So we're gonna turn the sorcerer upside down here, right? Because like the sorcerer is all about heritage. You're magical because your blood has some magic qualities. You're either in the past you have dragon blood, you have fey blood, you have celestial blood, right? It's very much related to your heritage. In this case, you do the opposite. You just like splice, right? You literally inject tonics in your body and you just rack your DNA. So yes, it's about your DNA still, but in the most Bioshock-esque way. You're a self-made a sorcerer. But that comes with inevitable problems as well, because like nothing in this setting is free. And then, of course, I already mentioned it, and because I love it so much, please let me tell you again. Nightmare mode. I really hope we get there, because that is going to be so much fun to come back to the city, and the city has gone much worse, and you kind of have to survive this wild, monstrous environment where survival is the only thing you can wish for. and maybe some treasure.
Treasure's always nice.
Yeah.
A question I've just thought of now. How many hours of gameplay do you think this campaign will have without Nightmare Mode, and then maybe with Nightmare Mode?
So, it's a level 1 to 7 campaign, so I expect a year at least. Depending on how many times you're meeting with your group, right?
Yeah.
Because if you meet once a month, you can go on for your entire, for 10 years. But the idea is like, if thinking about the fact that the structure is right now, bare bones, you have the main quest. And in order to get to the main quest, you have to fulfill the main quest of every single district. We have 6 districts. So that is already like at least 1 or 2 sessions per main quest. Like per main quest building upon the big quest. So you have already 12 sessions. But there's also secondary quests. So maybe you don't want to go to the next quest immediately, and maybe you want to go back to the other district and get a secondary quest, which are often either one shot or like 2 sessions depending on how fast is your party or how fast you are as a narrator, right? So I would say like the bare minimum will be 14 sessions, and the maximum will be twice as much. And then if we add Nightmare Mode, you will have at least another extra 6 to 12 sessions. So you can play City of Sirens for the next few years without no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
You're thinking of a season already.
I am thinking of a season.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Hey, we're booked up for the next, 3 years now?
That's amazing. Good for you.
We can get around to it.
Happen.
We can get around to it. We'll figure it out.
You keep saying my idea for my season's not good enough, so maybe we.
I say you should take a break. Those are 2 different things.
DMs need a break. It's true.
Yeah, get him.
Something I thought of. I can't remember who this was. Who was it, Jay, that brought up BioShock before?
Oh,
someone that we've
did.
talked to before has brought up BioShock, and I cannot, for the love of me, remember who it was or what game it was.
Would be helpful if we did, but yeah, someone has brought up BioShock as like a inspiration for their game. I wonder if we remember, we'll like shoot them a link to this.
Yeah,
and, like, hey, let's check it out.
I mean, I'm surprised that there's not a lot of great BioShock content for like tabletop RPG in general. I know that there's a original and official Fallout RPG, but BioShock not so much. And it's too bad because objectively the city is gorgeous. There's so much that can be done with that setting. Well, if the owners of the IP are listening to us, please let us know if you want to create something, and we'll be very happy to create a BioShock 5e expansion.
Oh, an official one. Oh, that would be beautiful. That would be something of absolute beauty.
And the quality of the writing is so high already, so like it would be just so easy to create more. Mm-hmm. Like I personally will love to explore maybe the year in which everything happens in BioShock. So things are getting there at the highest point before the fall. And I think it will be very interesting to have like perhaps an official setting where you can play before the fall and right after the fall.
Oh, I don't fully remember the name of it. Do you know if it's Dimension 20 in Critical Role?
Of course.
There's a crossover season they did. I can't remember the name of it. It was like Calamity, I think, where the players played the fall of like this big famous D&D city, and they were like people in it for like a few days before the fall happened, and then as the fall happened. That sort of thing with BioShock would be so good.
I agree completely.
So
Dimension 20, if you're listening to us, please consider our request.
If I ever see in our comments section someone from D20 or Critical Role, I will die.
Me too.
I will collapse
Me too.
immediately.
But you might never know. Sometimes I dream and I'm like, maybe someone is reading our stuff and enjoying it. Maybe they have some comments, of course, like maybe some feedback. We would love to hear their feedback, by the way.
Fair. So going
One can
back
always
to
dream.
City of Siren,
Mhm.
what's something so far that you've had to cut from the project? Is there anything like majorly or even minor things that you've just gone, this would have worked but doesn't work at the moment, and you've had to kind of cut it and put it to the side?
Yes. So, like when I start with a new setting or a new manual, I already have like a million ideas, right? So it's already a problem to start selecting among all these ideas. And one of the things I like the most are new species, subspecies, and subclasses. So I had to remove and modify a lot of the initial ideas, especially for the species, because initially I was like, this is a great place to start playing with the species of the setting, with the ones that we haven't published yet. But when I was developing them, I was like, well, that is kind of a missed opportunity here, because I would love to explore how these species reacted to the world of City of Sirens, rather than just being like the staple species. So I moved from what I thought was the staple species and subspecies to a localized subspecies. I want to see how these species, like the iguanids or the vultures, I already have in mind, and I have written the basic subspecies for them. But I thought this is like it will be so much more interesting to see what kind of subspecies evolved in City of Sirens rather than just like the regular subspecies living here. Because like it's a highly irradiated city, like anything can happen. So I revised all the subspecies to fit that narrative. And the same goes for subclasses. Like at first I was like, urban subclasses, more versatile. I kept a lot of that, but at the same time I made sure that every subclass really has the vibe of the city. So these were the two main things that I had to really work on in order to make sure that it works seamlessly with the setting.
Nice. So, how much playtesting have you done, and how's the feedback from playtesting influenced the game?
So for now we have done internal playtesting. So the people involved are playtesting and creating. We will start proper playtesting with players and with like future backers as soon as we have let's say a beta version of the content. This is what we did for Tome of Ags before. It was very good. Then we hire officially testers. So like we have people actually test things for a living or for like passion work, and we have them run the project on their tables to make sure that we get all the feedback we need. But right now, I will say we're all seasoned players, so we know what works. But I will say we are 50% into the playtesting. We take playtesting very seriously, so it will be unfair to say that, oh, we have done all the playtest, it all works. No. We will finish the playtest once the players and the backers have playtested it thoroughly to see if it works or not.
Fair enough.
It's interesting how you say that there's people that play test things for a living now for D&D. I've never come across that before, but now I'm interested to see if maybe we can find something like that.
I don't want to say that it's like a full-time job, but yes, one person can potentially hire organizations that provide playtesting services. I don't know if it's like, once again, a full-time job. Maybe it's like an extra job that you could do.
Yeah, it's probably extra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, with the playtesting you've done so far, And without giving away too many spoilers, perhaps, have you had any funny stories or particularly memorable moments? Say someone's done something incredibly either brave or stupid, or something that's made everyone laugh.
Well, I can tell you that creating a new class is always a huge endeavor. Huge. Because like a subclass, you can screw up, but it's harder to screw up because you have the bare, like the bones of the class helping you, right? Like you're just like creating a few steps, but the entire ladder is already created. With a new class, you have to create everything from scratch. So things are wild. And the technologist is wild, is meant to be wild, right? So we had to create a class that was different from the Artificer, because otherwise there's no reason to create a new tech-forward class if it's just a clone. But at the same time, we were not... playing it at first felt maybe too explosive. Not in the sense that it was a powerhouse, because we are always very careful in not creating overpowered stuff. It's very tempting, right? Like you want to sell something, it's like, oh, this is the most powerful thing you'll have. But then it sucks when you play it, because then nobody wants to play that thing. So balanced is the way to go, right? And the first playtest we did, the class was like a bomb for like the first 3 terms. They were like Nova, and then you were done. There was no way to use you because all your counters were already taken care of. And like it, for a more seasoned player, those were less of a problem. But for newer players, they were like, okay, let's go all in. So if it was like a simple battle, the technologist was amazing. It felt great, and they have this kind of like a goblin scientist kind of thing. It was a goblin scientist, the one that like the character that they created. So it was perfect. It really felt like it was that kind of crazy goblin scientist that throws like makeshift bombs out of their pocket, and they make incredible things. But during a boss fight, this poor thing could not do anything after like the first few turns. So we had to rewrite the whole thing to be more sustainable. It still has this idea of like explosive power with economy, so you cannot just like play it like it's not overpowered forever. It's like you have a battery, right? Like you have a core prototype that uses energy. And that energy, you can use it in different ways, but you kind of have, like, it drains at some point. So we wanted to keep that. But it could not go all Nova for the first 3 turns and become absolutely useless afterwards. So it was very funny to see that happening. And I promise you that doesn't happen anymore. But that's the joy of playtesting, and that's why playtesting is so important.
Have you got any advice now for other creators, for people trying to get started with their own graphic novel or campaign?
Yes. I think I'm very thankful to a few friends who were actually in the world of Kickstarter for doing other things like video game RPGs, but video game form. I think the best piece of advice I got, and something I want to share with everyone, is that it is completely fine to start small. And I'm not saying that if you don't have a great idea and the right amount of budget, you cannot make it big immediately. That is definitely a possibility. I don't want to, discourage people to think big. But in our case, starting small was the right way to do it. Because there's a lot to learn beside creating D&D campaigns. That's like something that, even if one is like a seasoned player or DM, writing the stuff takes some extra skills that need to be honed over time. Or at least that's my opinion. But with the world of Kickstarter, there's so much that can go wrong, and there's so many small things that one learns by just doing them or by meeting fellow Kickstarter creators. So starting small, I think it really saved us, because if we had one idea and we wanted to start big without the knowledge that we accumulated before starting with large campaigns, it would have been dangerous for us. So yes, I'm very thankful to my friend who told me to start small, despite my desire to start big immediately. And that's a piece of advice that I will give to other people as well. There's nothing wrong with starting small. You'll get there.
Humble. And again, true. Very true. So the last thing we need to ask here is, where can people find your work? I mean, when this goes out, the campaign will be live.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the link will be in the description below. But anything else you want to plug?
I think that the best place to find us right now is on Kickstarter, because we need your help. We need backers' help, and they can buy all the stuff that we created before right there. We also have a website, which is bigemptyblue.com, which is the website of our setting. And one can buy things there. But to be honest, every penny we get through Kickstarter helps us immensely to create the City of Sirens we want. And I think this has the potential to be a really cool project. So yes, you can find us on bigemptyblue.com, but if you like what we're working on, consider backing us on Kickstarter. It will make a huge difference.
Will do. Well, thank you very much, Marco, for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And honestly, we wish you the most luck with this campaign. But again, like I said before, looking at your previous campaigns, you're not really going to need the luck, because it looks like you're pretty damn successful as it is. So here's to continuing that success, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, honestly, thank you very much. And that has been A Pint of Cthulhu. Go and check out this Kickstarter, as I say, links in the description. And other than that, bye.
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 There we go. Stop your recording now.